all of a sudden, my bro goes and jumps. And I look at him, and his eyes are this big, and I'm like this. And right next to my window is an AK muzzle and poof, RPG. And I swerved right into it. I rolled up this dude in a carpet and stuck him underneath the stairwell. And we almost run into each other. He comes hauling around the corner, freaking, and I'm like, it was kind of weird because it was like, pow. And he hits my muzzle and like kind of, you know. I like telling people the dumb, funny shit that happened to me. All right, like one time I was running to a target, fast as I could. I want to be number one man. Tripped, fell, and breached the door with my face and my nuts. Right? Just, you know, fast as I could go. I'm a young stud. Tripped, fell, wound up in the foyer of this building with my nods sideways, my helmet all choking me out, and my buds run by and they're like, "Get up, dude!" You know, all right, I'll get up now. Breach her up. But yeah, I was sitting in traffic one morning. Getting ready to cross over Bridge 1, the northernmost bridge, high-rise bridge in Mosul. Traffic's thick, we can't get anywhere. And I'm like, you know, talking to the helicopters. We've got the old Kiowas supporting us on our way out. We're headed, I think we were going to Dahook, maybe Erbil. Dahook, because we were going up that bridge. And there's like one exit that goes down into downtown before the river. And we're just sitting there, sitting in traffic. And sometimes when you tell Americans, like, yeah, we used to ride around by ourselves, and we were in low-profile cars in civilian attire and just chilling, sitting in traffic. They're like, what? And typically speaking, that low profile is what kept us alive. But that morning we got made. And so it was like a late 90s 7 Series, the boxy one, not the space shuttle looking one, you know. And luckily it was level 7. And I'm talking to the helicopter, checking text messages, you know, doing comms, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, my bro goes and jumps. And I look at him, and his eyes are this big, and I'm like this. And right next to my window is an AK muzzle. Dudes had pulled up in a red Opel. What other kind of car is there, right? Freaking pulls up next to us, and the dude in the back seat is leaning out of the window. And he's pretty much, he could have tapped my window with his AK. And he went full auto. And I would love to be able to tell people that my reaction was cool, tough, badass. Right? I've been shot up before. You'd think I'd have been cooler. Nope. I went. And threw my hands up like I'm going to stop those bullets. Yeah. And he chewed about half that glass out. And his driver floorboards it. So like about half his mag went right here. He'd have killed us both, you know, for armor. And his driver punches it. So some of the rounds kind of hit the windshield and went down the hood of the car. And you know, unless you're a suicide bomber, you need an exit plan. And they didn't have a good one because the exit was completely stopped up with traffic. They went about 30 meters, bro, and were stopped. They had one AK and one magazine.
Nice.
And they had just emptied it. I got out of the car, calmly, coolly, basically walked up to them. And, well, anyway, freaking, they didn't shoot any more Americans. That's the kind of goofy stuff, man, that happens that I don't think a lot of us want to talk about, you know, like, and I don't care. I'm like, look, man, for the 20 funny stories I have 200 missions that went awesome, or, you know, that it would probably be a cooler war story to share. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, so I went in and we breached this door and went into this room, shot a dude. That happened all the time. You know, that's just what we were doing. But it's the funny stuff, like.
Yeah. I've been in that situation.
Tried to put my head in my bro's shoulder, you know, and was going to stop bullets with my hands, you know. But it just shows us that, you know, like, you're still going to react, you know. We can't help it. Stupid stuff like that, man. Goofy stuff. I mean, you know, I enjoyed Iraq because, you know, working with my Kurds and stuff, after I left GRS, got to do a lot of amazing missions. Some dudes became my brothers. You know, they were awesome. Little Peshmerga Special Forces. It was a platoon, a SEAL platoon's worth of Kurds, and stood up by Dev, CIA sanctioned thing. Dev group guys stood it up and then handed it to to us as contractors. And it was cool because it was trained by advise and assist.
Where did you move to?
Up in the palace, Barzani's compound.
I mean, from GRS to...
So over to SAD, which I guess now they're calling themselves the Directorate, Ground Branch. So I went over there, and...
SAD stands for Special Activities Division, right?
Which is the umbrella for the Directorates. And like I said, last I heard, GRS was still underneath SAD. Not sure. But yeah, man, I mean, one time we had a dude run out in front of us, and my bud just floorboards it, drive. And this dude had that trigger pin on that AK even when he was underneath our car. We had a Suburban. And his one of his rounds hit the brake reservoir, and the computer shut the vehicle down. So follow vehicle comes up, pushes us. And we had Suburbans all taxied out, hajied out or whatever. And for folks listening, basically we would just take armored vehicles and then make them look like you would. And there are, people don't know this, there are American cars in Iraq. And so like the Suburbans, you put little tassels and you'd haji it out, put chrome on it. You really want to get haji, you got to put chrome and gold, shiny things all over your Suburbans. And yeah, this dude, man, God bless his heart, he was committed because underneath our truck, he was still pinning that trigger. And the guys that were pushing us were like, dude, you guys drugged that guy for 500 meters before he popped under our vehicle. And I think we drug him for another freaking 500 meters, just creating a slick down the pavement with this poor guy. I had a fight in Iraq where I wound up by myself because one of my guys got killed, and it was just the two of us doing surveillance stuff. And
how did he get killed?
Round. Kind of sucked, man. We got made. We were pretty low profile. Thought we were pretty good, but as we were leaving this neighborhood, one of the lookout type bad guys or whatever definitely made us, man. He did the double take, and it was like we got slowed down as we passed him, and it was like, oh shit, like we're made. And made the call. Hey guys, just FYI guys, we're compromised. We're RTBing, returning to base. All's cool. We pull out, went up, made a U-turn, and this dude comes running out with an RPG. And I'm already on the gas. I was driving. And probably 55, 65 mile an hour. And poof, RPG. And I swerved right into it. Took it in the hood, took it in the grill. That made the steering not work. And we went into one of those big metal light posts,
Yeah.
And the median was like this tall up into that, wham. And, of course, on all those vehicles, we had the airbags disabled and all that kind of stuff. And I ate the steering wheel pretty good and was dazed and confused. And my guy's like, wake up, man, wake up. And get together. And he's like, we got to go that way. Roger. Yep. Hard pointing over there. Got it. And it's like, ready. Let's go. Pop the doors. And, I moved around to the hood and started giving the guys and they were pot shotting us at this point. They weren't 100% sure what they were dealing with. And so the bad guys, it's 3 lanes and then, so full 6 lanes there of road. And then the sidewalk and then kind of an alleyway that they were kind of, shooting at us from. And it didn't take much to back them up. They were just real uncertain with what they were dealing with. You know what I mean? They're like, what are these guys? You know what I mean? They knew that big bearded dudes in Humvees and MRAPs were not to be messed with. Those are scary guys. But they didn't know what we were in this sedan. Like, what the? So anyway, it didn't take me but a few rounds into that fight to realize he had not come around the other side of the vehicle.
Fuck.
Yeah. And I'm like, I just kind of looked and I could see his leg still in the car. His door was open. So I ran around there, and he was done. The round that went through him hit me in the back. And the only reason I know it was that round is because I had blood on my back. And I had no other time in this fight that I could have gotten blood on my back. The round went through him and hit me right in the back plate. So I ran around and grabbed him, and he had a Mark 46. And I'm dragging him, and as I round the car, his foot catches the muffler because I rounded the corner a little too short. And so I slipped and fell. So he's in my lap. And I'm looking, and here comes these dudes. They're like, "Oh, opportunity." So I'm just like, trying to give him a little love, push him back a little bit. I get back up, turn around, and, with grabbing his armor and ran. Had to drag him over that median, which he was all hung up on. Across the lanes. There's traffic, man. There's people. And bullets are flying, and, like, people. You know how, like, they're just, sometimes people would scatter in fights in Iraq, and sometimes they were just going about their business. Yeah. Like, gunfight, people, leave. Yeah. And so I'm trying to drag through traffic and stuff, and not a lot of traffic, just a couple cars in my way trying to get to this one little, storefront. And as I'm pulling him up on the daggone sidewalk on the other side of the road, I slipped and fell again. And at this point, I pulled up his saw and went on like a 200-round burst. I shot almost an entire drum with like 3 bursts, just figure eighting. And that was very helpful because now all of a sudden these dudes and like, they've got a couple of their buddies that ain't fighting anymore. So I was doing okay. And at this point, like, I'm like, okay, I'm still okay. My buds are on the way, right? My buds have got to be on the way by now, right? I've been asking for help, contact, asking for help. They know. It wasn't until 3 or 4 buildings later that I realized I had also been shot in my fucking emitter. Oh. I'm talking on a radio that doesn't work. And I left my cell phone on a Velcro patch on the dash of the car. Shit. So now I got no comms. And like I said, I'm still talking on the radio, asking for help, and, trying to give updates on my movements and stuff. And I get him in, and the store owner basically, in English, asked me, can I help you? And I'm like, please just leave. Just get out of here, bro. And so he took off, and I rolled up this dude in a carpet and stuck him underneath the stairwell. And I tossed a PDM in the doorway. For folks that don't know, a PDM is a pursuit deterrent munition. A little mine, if you will, that you pull a little string or pull a pin on it, and I can't remember, 6 or 8 wires pop out of it, little trip wires. And so when someone comes after you, they trip it, it goes off, and ideally deters them from pursuing you. Pursuit deterrent munition. And threw one in the doorway, took a couple more shots, took off, and started bounding back, right? I took everything that I could off of him, his pistol mags. He didn't have any AR mags. And he had like a 100-round nut sack. It's a smaller sack for the saw. I took a saw, land for. At this point, I'm like, okay, right? I'm going to get up on the roof, make a call. Helicopters will be here in a minute. And so I went up on the roof, and it was a flat roof with no knee walls. Had my VS-17 panel out, and that is when I discovered my radio was making a lot of. It had some rattly pieces, and what it was, there's radio holders that you fold down. Yeah. Like hinged. I was like, man, I must be on the wrong net. Something's wrong. So I'm like, I'm going to a different net, and I opened that up, and it was like, and I was like, ah, shit. The screen was blank. Funny thing was, that AK round is still in that emitter. I have it at home. I still have the radio. And that AK round is in the emitter. It did not go through and hit my plate. Wow. Who would have thought? Yeah. Our radios are ballistic, or at least in this case, mine was. Stupid stuff, right? I left my VS-17 panel on the roof because I started taking fire. And I was like, ooh. I jumped off the roof. It was like, basically, the roof I was on second story, first story roof that was like this, but wasn't here. When I got up there, I didn't make a mental note that that part of the roof didn't exist. So I went running and jumped off thinking I was going to land on this and missed. All the way to the dirt, dude. 2 stories, And I was just like, oh my God, that hurt. Whew, got myself together. And I remember as I stood up, dude came running around the corner. Like, I mean, maybe double the distance me and you. And I'm like on my knees. I'm starting to get up and I look and he runs and he looks right through me. He's mid-20s. Looks, and takes off. And I'm like, his buddy runs up behind him, keeps going past the little alleyway, and I hear him hitting the brakes. He saw me out of the peripheral vision, and he came back and poked his head around the corner. So I dumped him. His buddy sees it happening, and I start to move to the corner, and we almost run into each other. He comes hauling ass around the corner, freaking, and I'm like, it was kind of weird because it was like, pow, and he hits my muzzle and like kind of,
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.